Is this? Hello? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
It's working.
Sometimes I just need to know how loud to be. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
where do I go? Somewhere.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. We are here to announce that over 250 men and women who were sexually abused as children at New York City juvenile detention facilities have now filed civil lawsuits, with over 150 cases filed in late April and over 100 more cases filed earlier this week. We have exposed a systematic institutional scandal of sexual abuse at these cities' juvenile detention facilities. These are serious cases. Many of our clients were raped. Many of our clients were forced to perform oral sex or other sexual acts. Our clients were threatened, manipulated. They were children. The perpetrators of the abuse in these cases were the very adult staff members at these juvenile facilities that were entrusted with keeping our clients safe. Most of our clients were under 16 years old when they were sexually abused. It is now time for the mayor, for the city, for the responsible agencies, and that's ACS and the Department of Corrections, to accept responsibility for this systematic, institutionalized sexual abuse. It is not accepting responsibility for the city or the mayor to give a statement saying that, oh, this predates our administration. It is not accepting responsibility to just give hollow words that we take these allegations seriously. Taking responsibility is making sure that children who are in these juvenile detention centers today at Horizon and Crossroads, that they're safe. This sexual abuse occurred at all of the major New York City juvenile detention facilities, including Horizon Juvenile Center, Crossroads Juvenile Center here in Brooklyn, Rikers Island, Spofford, which is closed. Horizon and Crossroads remain open today. Kids are there today. What is the mayor doing to make sure that children are safe? What is ACS that operates these facilities doing to make sure children are safe? This is an urgent problem of the present. This is not just a story about the past. Our clients want justice. They want accountability. And they want sexual abuse in New York City juvenile detention centers to end. My clients also are here. These brave survivors are here with gratitude. We are here also with gratitude for the New York City Council. The New York City Council passed an important law called the New York City Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. This important law allows for a 2-year look-back window for cases of sexual violence. Sexual violence is gender violence. these important cases of sexual violence can be brought forward under this 2-year look-back window that expires on March 1st, 2025. Other survivors that are out there can still come forward if they were victimized by sexual violence, by gender violence. They could still come forward until March 1st of 2025. So we are grateful for the City Council for passing this law. And one of the fierce advocates for justice for the people, one of these fierce advocates is former council member and current borough president of Brooklyn, Antonio Reynoso. It is my honor and privilege, and with gratitude, to introduce the Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you so much. I am Antonio Reynoso, the president of the greatest borough in the city of New York, which is Brooklyn, first and foremost. And I'm happy that we are here in the People's House and that we're creating a space of inclusion, a safe space here for anyone that ever would need assistance from government. In 2022, the New York City Council passed a law to create a 2-year look-back window for survivors to file civil suits against their perpetrators and the institutions that failed to protect them, even if it had been years or decades since the sexual abuse took place. Today, we're representing about 250 survivors that have come forward related to physical, mental, or sexual violence in our care. Young people, vulnerable, lost, in need of support, resource, and guidance, when in our care, that's what they should be expecting to get. Not more trauma, sexual, verbal, physical, or mental violence. Our justice system is supposed to rehabilitate, not inflict further damage on our young people. Today, we are calling for accountability. Any reforms so that these may be the last accounts of those abuses to be told. We must do better, and we can do better. And what you will see and hear today is that damage in real life, those voices right in front of you. And our city must step up and do right by them. Accountability is deeply important, and reforms are deeply important. We also have to recognize that these reforms have not taken place, so the damage that was inflicted on these people when they were younger could be happening right now. The systems are the same. We haven't done the work, and we have to get to work. So thank you all for being with us today, and I implore upon you to listen to these voices and these stories so that you can also become an advocate and stand up for what's right. In Spanish, very quickly, nuestra juventud, cuando estaba debajo de nuestra ayuda o necesitando nuestra ayuda, se presentaron y nosotros lo que hicimos fue abusarlo físicamente, mentalmente, sexualmente. Son jóvenes que tienen menos de 17, 16 y 15 años abusados en el sistema de corrección aquí en Nueva York. Nosotros no hemos hecho nada para reformar y cambiar lo que hemos visto en el pasado. Hoy ustedes van a oír historias de los abusos que se cometieron cuando estas personas estaban jóvenes. Cuando están debajo del cuidado de la ciudad de Nueva York, nosotros estamos supuestos a ayudarlo. Estamos supuestos a asegurar que estén en buena condición, asegurar que puedan progresar en su vida, y eso no lo hicimos. Nosotros fallamos. Y es tiempo que la ciudad cambie el trabajo que está haciendo, traiga esa reforma y asegure que el futuro de nosotros sea mejor que el pasado. Yo espero que tomen tiempo para oír la historia de lo que se han afectado sobre este abuso y que vean que nosotros sinceramente necesitamos un cambio. Muchas gracias. Thank you. And in my time in the City Council, it was a pleasure to be able to put forth this legislation. And we have council members now that are still standing behind ensuring that we have accountability and that justice is served. And one of those council members is from South Brooklyn. It is the Alexa Aviles. Please, council member, a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I am standing here on the shoulders of great council members who put forward this legislation to say to all the survivors, we stand with you, we believe you, we see you, and we demand full accountability. This should never happen in any system in this state or across the country to any child, human in our care. This is unacceptable. So I thank the survivors for their courage and bravery. We will stand with you. We will fight to end this. This should never, ever happen. So thank you. Thank you for all the work that you did in making sure this happens, and we will continue to fight with you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Borough President and Councilmember Aviles. We can't tell you how much it means to our clients, to our survivor clients, to have you here and to have your support. In addition to the important work of the New York City Council that made sure that this law, this look-back window, allows these cases to be brought forward, there are fierce advocates who are doing really, really incredible work, hard work at not-for-profits to prevent sexual violence. And I'd like to introduce them and have them tell you about their organization, the work they do. And first, let me introduce Emily Miles.
Hello, my name is Emily Miles. I'm the Executive Director of the New York City Alliance Against Sexual Assault. The Alliance works to prevent sexual violence and reduce the harm it causes through education, training and technical assistance, and systems change work. It's truly an honor to represent the Alliance here today with this fierce group of advocates and standing with survivors. The trauma of sexual abuse, especially abuse that occurs at such a young age, takes years to process before many are able to begin to even think about coming forward and reporting. Shame, social stigma, complex dynamics of power and control, and fear of retaliation all play roles in a survivor's decision to report sexual violence. For those who face the compound trauma of abuse while incarcerated, the process of reporting can take even longer, especially as many lack the mechanisms for reporting in the first place. Look-back windows like those offered through the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law, the Child Victims Act, and the Adult Survivors Act are frequently the only available pathway for justice for these survivors and are critical in ensuring that the institutions who willfully allowed this violence to occur are finally held responsible. To the survivors who are listening to this, please know that we see you, we hear you, we believe you, and we're here to fight for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily. Another person who is doing really, really important work, and the organization, which really needs no introduction in New York City, but we'll appreciate one, Kelly Coyne from Safe Horizons.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kelly Coyne. I'm Safe Horizons Chief Program Officer. And at Safe Horizon, we serve 250,000 New Yorkers every year who are victims of crime, violence, and abuse. 250,000 here in our great city. At Safe Horizon, we know that safety looks different for every survivor. Healing looks really different, and justice looks really different for every survivor. That's why at Safe Horizon, we work with individual survivors to build out a plan that takes into account what safety, healing, and justice would look like for them. Safe Horizon was a lead advocate in fighting for the Child Victims Act and the Adult Survivors Act, two state laws that opened the doors to courts to survivors who had been silenced and without options for too long. And that's why we supported and were excited about the opening of this 2-year look-back window for New York City's Gender-Motivated Violence Act. Trauma takes time. Healing takes time. It's important that our laws and our statute of limitations align with the realities of what trauma survivors experience, in particular, child victims of trauma. We are thankful that this window is allowing survivors to pursue justice through our civil courts now that they are ready and they know that there are options for them. I'm proud to stand with advocates, survivors, legal advocates, and elected officials. This is how we get the work done in our city. We're proud to be here today. I am proud to be here today. And for the survivors of abuse and violence that are here and watching, know that we're here for you. We see you. We believe you, and we will fight with and for you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for being here today and for all of your great work. The most important part of why we're here today is we need the voice. We need the voices of the survivors to be heard by the city, by the mayor, by the responsible agencies. And we have two of the survivors here today. The first person I'm going to introduce is Nigeri Stewart. I've spent time with Nigeri. I have tremendous admiration and respect for him. He is a father, and he is trying to make a difference with great courage in stepping forward, in filing this lawsuit, and also in speaking to the public about what happened and serving as a role model for other survivors of sexual abuse. With great respect and admiration, I introduce Mr. Nigeri Stewart.
Hello, how you doing? How everybody doing? When I was at Crossroads Juvenile Detention Center, I went from an innocent kid with straight A's. Loved to play with my brothers, walk stilts in Crown Heights. I'm traumatized and ashamed as a teenager because of the nightmare I had to go to live every night from adults who were supposed to protect me. Even at times, even started at Crossroads, but today I'm here not as a victim, but as a survivor and an advocate, as a community leader, shedding a bright light on the injustice, the sexual, physical, and emotional abuse I and hundreds of Black and brown brothers endured at the hands of the city of New York. Is well overdue in the city to stop protecting the abusers and pedophiles at your juvenile detention centers. Do right by us. Give us the justice we deserve.
I'd like to introduce another very, very courageous survivor, Clyde Wiggins.
Hello, how y'all doing? My name is Clyde Wiggins from Brownsville, Brooklyn. I was around 15 years old when I went to Crossroads. And the things that I went through, man, I wouldn't want nobody to go through, you know? And now that, you know, being a father myself, if that happened to my son, I would be devastated, you know? At the time, you know, I thought it was cool. I'm a young kid, you know, you're incarcerated, you don't know what's going on. I'm just happy that you all are here standing with us, fighting with us, and seeking justice with us. I would like to say that we won't stop fighting. We're gonna keep going, you know, and you guys will be held accountable for what you did to us. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
At this point in time, I would just ask if there are any questions.
John started with the city. What sort of tangible, specific changes would you want to see this administration make to ensure that sexual abuse stops today and wouldn't continue any further?
The culture among the juvenile detention center staff in the city has to change. There has clearly been a culture of secrecy that's gone on for decades and decades. There clearly is a culture of secrecy. What we've seen in these cases are a pattern and practice of sexual abuse, where the children, even when they complain, even when they try to bring the sexual abuse to the attention of the adult staff members, the complaints are ignored. And there seems to be an us against them mentality, that the us are the adult staff members that are preying on the children, and the children are the victims, that even when they ask for help, they can't get it. So I really think, to answer your question, that the number one change that needs to take place is the culture. You know, the culture has to be that the juvenile justice system is to educate, it's to rehabilitate, and it's to set kids on the right path. And the kids have to be valued and protected. If there is not a change in culture, then this is going to continue. And I think to give another answer to your question, or more of an answer, there clearly needs to be some neutral parties in these juvenile detention facilities that children can go to and that will do something. Because as it is right now, children are going to the juvenile detention center staff and nothing's being done. So clearly there needs to be someone in there monitoring that is neutral and that has the kids' best interests in mind. In the court system, we have something called guardians ad litem. Their duty is to the children. They represent the best interests of the children. We need people in the juvenile detention centers that are going to have the duty and responsibility of acting only in the best interests of the children, that are not aligned with the adult juvenile detention staff.
And just one more, if I may, for Clyde and Nigeri. Can y'all talk about kind of how you enjoyed your childhoods before you ended up at the detention facilities, like what you do in your neighborhoods and all that kind of deal?
Yeah.
I used to walk stilts, play with my friends. Fun guy, you know, playful, you know, show the kids how to walk stilts in my community. You know, we'd take walks down Eastern Parkway. I'll join the West Indian Day Parade. That's how fun I was a kid when I was.
Me, fun as a kid was always going to the studio, you know, making music and doing stuff like that. Afterwards, when I came home and stuff like all that, like that passion was gone. I'm trying to find it back as an adult through my kid, but you know, it's hard to. So.
What kind of music?
All types, all genres. Yeah, it's no one thing.
Got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for talking to us today. I was wondering if you could expand a little bit about this being a problem of the present, right? We talk about the reforms that are needed to be made, but are there any more modern incidents that you could kind of point to show that this is still going on?
Yeah. So the Department of Corrections, ACS, who have operated these facilities, the Department of Corrections historically operated the facilities. ACS is the current operator of these facilities. They've always claimed that they have the right procedures in place. They've always claimed that they have a zero tolerance policy. But we know from these hundreds of cases that those were words, and that in reality, the conditions, the procedures in place were beyond negligent, and that enabled this systematic institutionalized sexual abuse. And so we have no evidence that any of the procedures and conditions have changed. We do have some more recent instances of sexual abuse among the cases we've filed. The most recent case being 2022. We have other cases in the late 2010s. So you wouldn't really expect to have so many recent cases, not because the abuse didn't occur, but because it would be unlikely that someone would be ready to come forward. If we're talking about a recent case of sexual abuse that occurred in a New York City Juvenile Detention Center in 2023, the person may still be a minor, may still be processing it. If they're only 18 years old or only 19 years old, what the data shows and the science shows is that it often takes years or even decades. So when we look at the bar chart on the graphic there, I think that the fact that so many more cases occurred in earlier decades is more of a function that those adults are ready to step forward. You know, they're at a point in their life where maybe they have their own kids, like these two men have told you about here today. And, you know, they process it now. They want to step forward. They've now taken on a different role in life. And so, you know, and I really think, the burden is on the city. If something has changed, show us. If you've done something completely different last year or the year before, what is it? Because the city has always said this problem didn't exist, despite the fact that some correctional officers, some staff have even been criminally charged and even pled guilty. I mean, if you look at the evidence that we cited in our complaint, you know, there have been correctional officers and staff that have been caught, that have been criminally charged. But what we're seeing here is that really was the tip of the iceberg. And underneath, it's a much bigger institutional problem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes.
Sorry, Nia Clark from New York One. I actually think you started to answer my question, which is in the current complaint that you filed, are there any claims against current staff members in any of these facilities? And are there any legal mechanisms that can be employed to make sure that they don't have access to children?
One of the things the city should be doing right now is reading the names of the correctional officers and staff who are identified in the complaints we filed. We have identified correctional officers and staff. One staff member from Horizon sexually abused over a dozen of our clients. Another staff member sexually abused about a half dozen of our clients. Some of these people are repeat abusers. And I can tell you this, we don't have the employee records yet. That'll take place during the discovery of this case, but the city has the records. The city is able to right now run all of those names and determine whether any of those people are still employed by the city at these juvenile detention centers, whether any of these people are still getting a paycheck from the city. And that should be an urgent, really easy thing for the city to do. Read the names. Are any of these people with children today at juvenile detention centers here in New York? Have they been transferred somewhere else where they can endanger children or adults? Thank you. Any other questions?
I guess I can. So Horizon is in the process of expanding its facility. I'm wondering if you have any comments to share about that in the context of this lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that many of our clients were detained for minor infractions. Sometimes these juvenile charges were even later dismissed. Some were in these juvenile facilities for a matter of weeks or months, and they were sexually abused during that short time period. So the city needs to really ask themselves whether it's good policy to be incarcerating so many juveniles. If juveniles are not safe in these juvenile detention centers, then juveniles should only be incarcerated in this city in the most severe instances where there's a true public danger. Children should not be put in juvenile detention centers for minor infractions where they're put at risk for sexual abuse and other forms of abuse in these facilities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you so much for being here today. We and our clients really appreciate it. And thank you most of all to Borough President Reynoso for hosting us. Thank you so much.